Oh gosh, we're kind of a couple of weeks late on this because I really didn't have much to say or talk about a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't feeling that great, but anyway, spring has sprung. It's actually quite warm in here. I'm thinking of taking off my sweatpants because it's just to put shorts on or something. It's kind of nice right now. So anyway, during this time at home, many people have done a lot of achieving on their workbenches. And I even know one guy who bought a house. His achieving is going to be even tremendously well served. That would be, who am I thinking of?
Kenny?
Who?
Kenny?
Who?
Kenny? Kenny Conklin.
Oh, Kenny. I thought you said Danny.
I couldn't understand what you were saying.
But anyway, today we're going to talk about the achievements that we all make to take to the show. There are at least 3 of us 5 who've taken things to the show. I don't know about you, Jim. Have you?
No, I've never displayed anything at a show yet.
Yet. Working up the nerve to ask the girl out to the ball, it sounds like. Yeah, I hear
The only show I ever participated in was submission to a magazine article.
Oh, that's right, you did. Well, yeah, hey, that's even better yet. You submitted something to a magazine article. That's even better. They don't have any, any interest in other than selling magazines, and I think that's a good point. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's a lot of shows that because of the pandemic that were canceled or delayed. Don't know where it is. I'm not a follower of that stuff. I'll go and show up and salivate over everybody else's work. I don't think I've laid out a plan, if there is such a thing. What do you think, Lou? Is there a plan they got to lay out for this? For
entering a kit in a show?
Yes.
Check your humility at the door. You are about to enter Mortal Kombat. Some places are very friendly. Some places, everybody's nice and happy and shaking your hand until you get past the entry, and then it's every man for himself. Entering, like I said, it can be a very humbling thing because you are obviously in love with the thing that you brought. If you are there honestly just to show, you will have a good time. I think it depends on your mindset. If you're there just to show off, you will have a good time. But if you are sitting there at the award ceremony and everybody else around you is winning and you are not, it becomes a sour day. And you have to wonder, well, why didn't I win? Mine was certainly better. And then all the pettiness comes out. Well, why did that win? Mine was certainly better than that.
At least in your eyes, anyway.
And at least in my, a lot of people came around mine and said how nice it was and took pictures and blah, blah, blah. And this thing over in it's rigged. Somebody else, he must have known the judges. Somebody else is winning and they must be a friend of the judge. And that is the death of joy and the death of a good hobby. So you have to go in with the right mindset that you're here to show off. And if people like it, that's great. But if you're there and your life's blood depends on winning that gold, you're just setting yourself up for misery.
No, I think in translating to my language, that would be show up with no expectations. Show off like a peacock, but don't expect to be having a peahen to follow you.
Yeah, and don't be surprised if they don't ooh and ah over it. I would much rather win a People's Choice Award than a Judges Award any day of the week. Mm-hmm. Because the judges will take your 8-10 months work of art and joy and sweat and tears
and shred it,
and they will find the one thumbprint that you left, or they will find the one seam that wasn't quite right, and then they would completely discount your work for that. And surprising, I've been surprised to find out, and like I said, judges are people too, but if you were building a Millennium Falcon and you've done a really good job on your Millennium Falcon and the judge doesn't like Star Wars, you're not gonna get you're not gonna get the same amount of love as if they really like Mad Max and there's a half decent Mad Max model on the table. So,
well, a lot of that's usually why they have more than one judge.
well, yeah, and they'll have different judges for different categories. Like one person knows figure models better than he knows historical ships. So it makes sense to put him in charge of that. But you just have to take it with a grain of salt and know that you are at the mercy of other people's preferences and prejudices. And it's not as clinical as you think it is.
Well, my understanding as an observer, because Wonderfest is the first show I actually went to, a couple 2018, and you've expressed some I don't know, amazement, maybe astonishment is a more word to put for that. Some you took a lot of builds. Some got a lot of reaction and got awards, and others did not. And it was completely not what you even expected. Now, you said check your humility, your ego at the door, but you just can't help but walking into a situation like that with that cooking in the background on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's why you said you were quite astonished about some things working and some things not.
Yeah. And I've often found that it doesn't matter how much time you've put into something. I took a Rocketeer helmet that I literally did in an afternoon, from raw resin to finished product in an afternoon, and it got a bronze. And I've taken things that I've spent weeks on, and they get a honorable mention, if even
anything. That. Yeah,
I know that feeling.
So,
yay! Camera and audio both working at the same time. Thankfully,
yay! But a lot of it, you would like to think there is more thought put into the judging than there is, and some of it is. You would be surprised that it could be a gut reaction. Oh, geez, I hated that movie. I'm not judging anything in that.
Yep.
Or this guy brought another Frankenstein, and I'm tired of him bringing a Frankenstein every year. And it's it's not the same kit, because you're not allowed to enter the same kit more than once. But it could be another subject. It could be I brought an eagle a year ago. If I bring another eagle, someone's going to say, "Oh, Lou's bringing another eagle," and automatically that affects the judging, whether it's technically good or not.
And do you know how the judges panels are set up? Because Wayne says at the local show we use 8 judges. There's a tie-breaking number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I've never been privy to that. I imagine it's like sausage. I don't want to see it being made.
I kind of agree with that too. At the same time, because I have been in contest situations in the past, and I have to admit, it's very political. It really is, unfortunately, and it's really up to the organizers of the show to decide who they are. And
over the years, they will gain a reputation for either being fair or not.
Right.
And that's all you can hope for, because unless you apply to be a judge, I don't know what the criteria are for judges.
All I can say is the only show that I go to on a regular basis is the AMP show in my area. And they go on, for each judging is done by 3 judges per model. So
and do that times 800.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah,
when you figure, and plus at the AMP show, it's all same type of model because it's all armor. So
right.
Thing, but they still have they have about a dozen judging tables with 3 judges each on each table. So
I picture that scene in Animal House where they're all sitting and the slide comes up of Flounder, and they start throwing beer cans at the screen, and how about this guy? Boo! How about this model? Yeah, silver. How about this model? Gold.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's in where the judging is done for the AMP show is in the Air Force Veterans Hall, And where the judging is up on the stage, which is raised above where everyone else is, so everybody looks up onto the stage to see all the judging. And so they're all on display.
Yeah, the judging at Wonderfest is done behind closed doors. It's done after the show closes on Saturday, but before it opens on Sunday. Although I am sure that because the entries shut off at noon on Saturday, and people mill around until 5, and then supposedly the judges come in after 5 that night, and they judge through the evening and into Sunday. They'll take their pictures and do up their slideshow and all that, so that they can have their presentation ready 3 o'clock on Sunday. Now, I'm sure that the judges know who they are. I'm sure they go through Saturday afternoon and kind of preview things so that they know which ones they want to go back and look at to judge. They can probably weed out a lot of chaff before then, so that they know they're not spending. It's not their first time seeing everything.
Well, my thinking too is that I was actually kind of, I don't know, surprised and not surprised about one characteristic. When you're looking at the tables upon tables of models, and they're all there among the others, they all have a little yellow card underneath them. And what's interesting is that there's two things. Two things off of the one thing. There's no names on them, but the two things I find interesting on that is that I've noticed that just listening to people going through it, they're like, "Oh, that's so and so's model." How do you know? Oh, I just know that's his, or that's just they just know.
Yeah.
And I think that is a front to show, from my feeling, it's a front to show that there is some anonymousness about it, that the judges can probably break through and know for a fact whose model is who.
Jack, can I raise a point? The names are on those slips. It's just the folded over part you don't see.
Yeah.
My name and address and email and all that is on every entry form.
Oh, but I've never seen anybody touch those.
No, but the judges go in after 5 and they can pick the model up and look at that sheet and see who it is. That's no secret. It's just there. It's actually there so that you can reclaim it and prove that you're you. But that's no secret as to whose kit that is. And if I'm standing in line to enter it, then people know that it's me, that I'm standing next to this model. So it's not a big treat for them to say, "Oh, I know that's Jack's model," because they saw you bring it in.
Oh, okay. But I don't know. It just gives the impression of it anonymous.
Yeah.
What's that?
It does. I mean, for the casual attendee of the show, they go in and they'll see the folded over part, and they'll see that it's a model of the Phantom of the Opera, that the modeler did this to it, that it used these paints on it, but they won't see that it's Bob Smith's from Tacoma, and here's his email address and his phone number.
Okay. How about across the pond?
The IPMS shows make a bit more of an attempt at anonymity, though I think in a way, in my case, being Facebook friends and things like that with some of the judges, they'll have seen my build ongoing on Facebook or something like that.
Well, especially if you belong to an active group that broadcasts or like that, and your models are automatically sort of quite semi-published because they've been shown.
And that's a very real point that I worry about, because I put all of my stuff on videos every week.
Yeah.
And on one level it says, "Oh, I hope people say, oh, I hope you're bringing out the Wonderfest." But if I do, I've already spoiled the reveal of it, because it's been on YouTube for the last 6 months. So does that hurt? Does that help, or does that hurt when I'm being judged?
I've watched lots of videos of picture displays of different shows, and all of a sudden I'll see a model that I've seen that model, I've seen that model. Either it was on a model listing from another, a model on either one of the modeling sites or on a video site or something like that. That I've seen that particular model.
Right.
So it crops up quite often that the model is not necessarily new to you type thing once you go up to see
Right.
it.
And I've seen the same model at Wonderfest, at Jersey Fest, at an IPMS show.
Yeah.
Because you're allowed to do that. It's there's no law against saying you can only put this in you can only put it in Wonderfest one time. But doesn't say you can't put it anywhere else.
In another show, no.
Yeah. But I wonder if that does now for the like I said, for the attendee, they may not have ever seen that, but the judges are in the community, and I'm wondering if that ruins the impact of the judge seeing it for the first time when he's judging it.
The only difference in seeing if you're seeing a work in progress and that online for a particular model that you're now judging, is it might alter your thing because you've seen the work that he's into it, and you've seen his failures and his successes and his compensations. So right.
And that's why I would make a lousy judge. I would argue everything for a week and a half.
Yeah.
But I also would look at what goes into it, and that's not how Wonderfest judges. They judge 100% on presentation and
what's there before them. Yeah.
Right. And if it is a one-piece model that has no seams but is painted very well, that's judged one way. If it's 1,000-piece model that is done very well, it is judged on the same criteria as the one-piece model.
But some people do bring I've seen it many times. They'll bring a binder.
Yeah, and
all of their work done during building and the process of that.
Yeah, like that's going to somehow persuade them,
Well, they do take the binder up with them when they judge it.
Yeah.
So it's the case of a physical version of your Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah,
presentations of the model that you've built. So,
but that's another reason why I would not want to know who the modeler was, because take an example, you have somebody who may have a learning disability and a handicap, and they put together a halfway decent model. To me, that's a heroic accomplishment.
Yeah,
it may have glue bombs on it, it may have seams in it. But that accomplishment by itself is worthy of notice.
Yeah.
And it's not to say, I almost say it's not fair, but it's not fair to judge that next to somebody
special
who's been doing it for 30 years. And, you expect great things from that person. So that's why I would make a horrible judge, because I can't divorce myself from the effort.
Yeah.
I've done a bit of judging myself. Not that I really wanted to, but I was kind of roped into it. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult, especially when you're trying to judge some very, very high quality builds. And in the end, you have to nitpick just to find something to differentiate one from another. You end up nitpicking on the tiniest flaws and the tiniest details.
What was your standard?
Attest to that, yeah.
What was your standard, Phil? Did you do one gold, one silver, one bronze, or do you?
This was first, second, and third. Basically, this was at the one of the IPMS shows.
That's one thing I will say about Wonderfest is that if there are 5 gold-worthy models, they will give out 5 gold awards.
Yeah. But with this one, there had to be a first, second, and third.
Right. But by the same token, I've been there years where there have been no gold awards given out, and there was a bunch of silvers, but nothing quite gold standard.
Yeah.
I have to think that that's a little bit more democratic than for this guy to get this, he has to knock somebody else out.
Yeah. Having said that, I mean, you're basically judging the models against each other. So
Right.
that was the way we had to do it, and that was so difficult because the ones that I was looking at, that me and my colleague were looking at, were they were just fantastic builds.
Right.
I mean, I would have been so proud to have produced anything like that.
Did you also have the no run thing where you can only one person can only win one thing in the category? He can't sweep a category.
No. I think if someone had put in various things, and if they happen to be first, second, or third, I'm assuming that's what would happen. We didn't know whose they were.
Right. One thing, I don't know how widespread it is in IPMS, but around here, the IPMS has a no sweeps rule that if I took 5 spaceships, God knows they wouldn't even look at them in an IPMS show. But if I took 5 spaceships, I could only win one of those. If they looked at one spaceship and they said that's great, that's a gold, I couldn't win a silver for the next one down the line. All the rest of my entries would be taken out.
Right.
Well, the IPMS over here operates differently because I have seen one modeler taking, gold and silver, or gold and bronze, or bronze and silver, whatever combination of the three.
In the same category.
In the same category, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people that will sweep like 9 different categories because the category is, World War II plane, single engine, blah, 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 with a left-handed pilot. And then the next one is with a right-handed pilot, and he'll win, like both of those.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think the categories are so nitpicky.
Yeah.
The way the judging is done is a complete mystery to me, but I did unravel one little thing. It was one of my entries into I can't remember which competition it was, but anyway, there was a choice between gold or silver. I got silver because there was one little bit of paint on the model had strayed into some other part of it where it shouldn't be, and that I was told afterwards that's what made the difference. So I don't know, nitpicking or does it have to come down to the wire like that in a lot of cases?
I have to say, it wasn't a main IPMS show. It was an IPMS club show. So it was actually the club competition, club's show competition, not a full IPMS. It wasn't like Telford or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So, but they sort of follow the same kind of rules.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I tend not to enter those big competitions. I'm not confident enough. But I do take my models to shows to display them on club tables. So and that's a whole new, you get everyone looking, and you'll get comments, and you get good and bad, and you'll get people who will point things out, and sometimes it's helpful and useful, and sometimes it's like, yeah, why are you telling me this?
Not too long ago, I can't remember who it was, but they were suggesting that phone cameras are so small you can even put them in models, and you can actually have a video display of, say, the shuttle bay of the refit from the inside. And I just thought it would be interesting maybe to bug your model and to listen to what people say.
Put a little camera that points out and records everybody walking by.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that going during the judging. Oh, that would be great to have that going during the judging.
I don't think my ego could take that kind of bruising.
I just might have given somebody an idea who can probably do the technology. Bobby's even saying that some of them operate as a good old boy network, and I've seen that happen too.
I was at an IPMS show one where the guy who was giving out the awards mysteriously won. And it's like, he was not only was he the MC of the show and the head of the IPMS chapter and all this, but and the winner for this one is, it's Jack Holzer. I'm gonna go to you, and he puts the little thing over himself. Like, good God, man, disqualify yourself. You're supposed to be the
I
presenter.
always thought that the officials and the judges would be exempt from this.
Oh no, not in this IPMS world.
Oh God.
Most of the ones that I've met or seen, they don't judge. The judges don't judge the genre or whatever it is that they've entered themselves. Most of the time, where they can, there's maybe the odd time where maybe there's just not enough judges or something like that that they've had to start judging something, but they would usually there's like usually two judges looking at it, so they'll bounce off each other. Yeah. And if it happens to be a subject that one of them has entered in, he would defer to the other, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I would prefer that, because I would want somebody who knows the subject to be the judge of the model of that subject. If I'm judging Frankenstein models and somebody left the bolts off his neck, and I don't know that he's supposed to have bolts on his neck, that's a pretty poor judging.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
But is it?
Yeah.
It is, because he's not depicting the
character.
Well, if he is, and I shouldn't be the only judge that says, "Hey, I like that." Somebody should be able to point that out to me.
Well, but accuracy is one of the main criteria, isn't it?
Well, it is. I'm sure it's more important in IPMS than it is in sci-fi, because you can have the Millennium Falcon and it be accurate, but not have all of the scorch marks in the exact spot they're supposed to be.
Well, because that can vary from movie to movie.
But if you're building a Mustang, then you know what that Mustang's supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
As an airplane. I'm sorry, not the car. But if I'm building Herbie the Love Bug, people know what Herbie the Love Bug is supposed to look like.
It's funny you mentioned that. There is one competition or one that I've seen where in the sci-fi end, it always seems to be one particular type of sci-fi model that always wins the gold. Usually not the one I've been in.
Yeah. But there's a category for scratch build, do your own thing that would allow for anything you want to put in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone says build your favorite spaceship and you build an Enterprise and you put the nacelles in the wrong place, that's a wrong Enterprise.
Yes.
Unless you're putting this down in your description as, hey, this is not meant to be the stock Enterprise. This is my own ship.
Or was a supposed design by
and you can do that. You can do that in your description. You can write a note to the judges saying, hey, I know this isn't canon. This is my own take on this.
Yeah, most of
the judged accordingly, but
yeah, most of the competitions have description cards, which you're allowed to put that in.
Yeah.
Say, if there's a great big honking seam in your model, and you say that yes, the original filming miniature had this big seam.
Exactly, that was the point I was going to bring up, because there was a dispute a couple of years ago about the Lost in Space robot, because it was judged poorly because the seams in the arms were showing. The seams in the arm were molded in. They're meant to show because they were duplicating the rubber seam on the costume.
Yeah.
And the person building the model was being faithful to the costume, and they were marked down on that. And they eventually, they didn't get an apology, but they got we goofed on that one. But it was intentional, and the 66 Batmans are the same way, because all the ones in that series, the gloves on Batman and Robin have horrible seams in them, because the costumes had horrible seams in them, and they were duplicated faithfully.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wonder if you actually brought the original filming miniature in, and,
Well, people got more picky about it after that. They started bringing in reference photos, and they started saying, "Hey, this is right. This is how this is supposed to be."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's the reason I would not want an expert on U-2 submarines judging my Enterprise. I want somebody who's an expert on the Enterprise judging my Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But then again, I don't know. Let's put it this way: if you're in a genre like today, they're making a big to-do about NASCAR opening up here in the States, and I'm thinking of our friend Heath, who's very much into NASCAR. And I've been actually lately, over the past couple of days, been on Evil Bay, looking at NASCAR car kits to see, well, if we can get something cheap enough to putz around with and build. Because I do build cars and aircrafts, not just sci-fi. And just to, I don't know, get into that thought of being a part of that. But I wouldn't know the first thing about an accuracy of a NASCAR other than just looking up on the internet and checking to see how accurate I am. If I think the paint job and the decals turned out nice, I'd probably enter it into a contest. I have a very awkward ego, as they say. I do keep it very much in check. I have to be satisfied with it, and there's a couple of builds behind me that I would definitely enter if given the proper opportunity to do it. I would. In fact, the Klingon ship that's like a dark battleship gray, totally off color scheme of what the Klingon ship should be. But as any Star Trek fan would know, Klingons have clans, and the wealthy clans have their own battle cruisers and the like, and they would color them according to their coat of arms.
Yeah.
That only makes sense for a species that appreciates tribalness, as that storyline takes it. But when it comes to something like NASCAR, now correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, this is probably the wrong crowd to ask, but I know that Heath is on the chat. That the NASCAR drivers will have sponsors that will pay them to race, and of course they reap in the spoils of a win, and as well as advertising. Of course, all NASCAR cars are just billboards going at 100 miles an hour.
But usually the color of the car sign is designated by who's the biggest sponsor.
Yeah, the rolling billboards.
Right. But Dale Earnhardt, just somebody, throw out a name that everybody's familiar with. I've seen his cars go through different iterations based on the sponsorships. And I think that's very interesting because even in sci-fi, we go as far as to pilot, second pilot series, just like in Star Trek.
Right.
And then you get into the alternate universe of J.J. Price and all the other iterations of Star Trek too. So it's not such a mystery to me that even something fictional has its iterations, just like in real life. But if you were to go to a show with a, how should I put it? I don't watch very much the American Idols and the Voice, where the singers come up with their own material, and I have an aversion to performers doing their own material. But I like to do my own material and model building. I want to do something that's me. That's not necessarily. I would probably do a generic NASCAR that doesn't have.
I think in a lot of contests, especially larger contests anyway, they have a category for non-canon or characterization of a model.
Yeah, I mean, Jack.
A prime example is, I can remember seeing an Enterprise that was done at D-Day colors.
Yeah.
At a contest.
Yeah, and there's nothing against that. You can certainly do it. All you have to do is note on your entry form that this is intentional. This is
Yeah.
celebrating NASCAR. This is, or you could even say this is Richard Petty's car from the 1975 race at Pocono or
Yeah.
whatever, so that they know that it's maybe not the stock version they're used to seeing. Is when I brought up the scratch category, that's for something that you're building completely off the boards. That's your own.
It's totally original. Yeah.
Your dataless would go in the scratch category. It would clean up in the scratch category because it's an original. Even though it's based on a design, it's an original thing that you've created. Now, the difference between that and your Klingon ship is you could enter your Klingon ship in the vehicle category and say this is from the house of Holtz-Her, and it is painted in their ancestral colors, and that's all they need to see.
Well, actually, it was a. That wasn't my intention. My intention was learn how to paint.
Yeah,
This color that I was expecting to be like a gray.
But in that
battleship gray, and I thought, oh, what the hell? I'll just paint it, and it turned out really nice. If you look at it,
but in that case, they would still be looking for glue bombs and thumbprints and sloppy and all that.
I think where it comes to right now, I probably have to do a pretty good dusting of it.
Yeah,
it's like a lot.
Oh, it was stuck in a nebula. It was stuck in a nebula. It got dusty. Cosmic dust. It was in a asteroid field for years.
Yeah.
Well, there's another one that has gone to contests and has gone to contests as an enterer too. Is Wayne, and Wayne probably has a mouthful because it was his idea to do this subject.
Yeah. Right. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
yeah. I thought it was just I just saw a video on YouTube about railway galas in this country, and now they're running everything. So I thought, why don't we just do a show about model show experiences and stuff like that? Because everybody's had pleasant stories, and there's been some horror stories. But also how the atmosphere is, because that's what I like about it. I can go and talk to someone about armor builds or how to do airplanes or starships or figure painting and stuff like that. Because if I speak to someone at work, their eyes cross and they look to go and turn out. No, what I was going to say is it is quite complicated to organise a model show from scratch if it's a new one. If it's an established model show like, say, Telford, which is, I'm just going to use that as basis because they have to get all the insurance and all the traders, all the clubs that are going, these 9 people are turning for each table, but also like just little things like car parking, refreshment stands, and everything like that. It's got to be all planned out months in advance.
Table layouts and where all the tables go. Who puts them out as well? Because someone has to set up the tables, and then they have to break them down after the show.
Yeah. But also, there's 3 things I go is what I for model show is 1, is it easy for me to get to? 2, is it worth me actually going to the model show if it's going to be like take me 4 hours to get down there, 4 hours, and give me about X amount of time there? And 2, the admission price, is it worth me actually paying all that money to go? And say, like we've had the Peterborough show I went to, there was a bit of an issue with the car parking. A lot of people were complaining about the car parking issue. Because they changed the rules or something. Because we was using the Voyager Academy at Peterborough, but apparently this year, if they do another one, it's not going to be at the. It's going to be at another venue.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So, but like we have the Lincoln group with, we do our own show. I could join show with the Newark IPMS group, and we use the race course at Newark,
Now, could
and
I
that's been going on for past 10 years now.
now between
Yeah.
earlier I was saying about unexpected surprises, and Jim and I haven't been in contests. I only have attended them. But have you ever walked away with a trophy?
No, I've been like, because it's our show. I've entered a models in that our own competition, but due to I'm with the actual group, I was like a table filler, if you know what I mean.
Ah,
I was not allowed to. I was not because a lot of the groups we attend our show always do, and they're always quite friendly. So if you're part of the group who's organising the show, you won't get able to get a prize, but you'll probably get at a good mark or something like that. You won't get a top gold, silver, bronze type thing, but you'll get a high mention or something.
okay.
It's to keep it fair. But as like I say, we get 4 people from our group, then we get 4 people of random from other tables to go with them. So it's all done above board, out in the open, and then
You are a man
so
of
nobody's.
integrity.
We'll try and keep it there, then, because that's what happens. Sometimes you're gonna either you can't please everybody, and someone's gonna be disappointed. That's the problems with some. You can't.
Not
So
everybody
that's
can have the what do you call it? The participation prize.
no, but we try and make it as open and clean as fair, so nobody can go away. Oh, there's it. The rig is all rigged already. It's yeah.
The cat.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna sneeze right now.
Hello.
yeah. Hello.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then we at the local meetings we have 4 competitions a year.
Uh-huh.
So we have 1 themed competition and 3 open. So we've got so we do that, and it's like everybody judges the models. So each model is marked out of 1 to 25, and you're judging on build quality, accuracy. It doesn't matter if you know the person for 10 years or 10 minutes. You judge it on the work that is in front of you. You don't judge it on the person, and it's all done. And that's how we do it.
Mm-hmm. But that seems very reasonable that if your group is going to put together a show, the top billing should be those who are not part of the group, and then among you in the group would rate each other. I think that's completely fair, and maybe even do it somewhat privately, so that there is no appearance of
Variety,
yeah. And I think you're right. That is completely fair. You do want to see what the group of your peers are after, and you want to impress them. That's why you're part of the group. But I think it would be even better to top bill. That's my opinion. To top bill those that are coming from the outside. Do you agree?
Yeah. No. Depends. If you're organising the show, you got lots to do in that day. Still, you got to keep the traders happy. You got to try and sort out any disputes, and if they want to move extra table space, if they got because we do at our show we do have under the table selling of model kits, and sometimes we do have issues where the model kits are sort of creeping into the walkways a bit, because it may cause trip and thingy hazards. So you also trying to concentrate on keeping everybody happy and keeping everybody safe. because you're running the group, you're in charge of health and safety, everything like that needs to be sorted out.
So you don't have? Do you say you not have a separate dealer's room from the display room, or are they doing both at the same place?
What we're doing is it's just like it's the main stand at the race course just outside Newark. And what it is, we have all the club tables down the centre, and we have all the traders round the sides.
Oh, okay.
It's like say, and then the group, we allow like second-hand selling where the group tables can actually sell unwanted kits or stashes of members that have passed away or something like that. But the problem is, it's just we
you
do
get
have
two different types of traffic in there. You get the people who are slowly going around the center, and the people who are going quickly around the outside.
So this is what a lot of things that happen where you got to because it's on the group organisers to be responsible for like keeping everybody in check and think, because I'm normally there. I help set up the tables. I help set because we got to get by 5 o'clock. We got to be all done and dusted and out of the place by 5 o'clock.
Wow.
So you've got like 100 and something odd tables to get broken down, and chairs put away, and people to get chucking out the people by 5 o'clock.
Right.
Because that's when the building goes back to. That's when the floor space goes back to the people. So
when do you actually close then? If you have to be out by 5, do you start this at 3 or do you start this at noon or?
Well, we start the show normally winds down about 3:30. We get all the prizes given about 3 o'clock. Everybody starts dismantling about by 4 o'clock. Everybody starts packing up and dismantling the displays, and it's normally a good day. And then we like before then the traders handing their applications for the next year's show, because we have, and then
it always amazes me at Wonderfest because people are so bloody careful moving their kits in, and it takes hours between 8 and noon, and then it's like at Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock someone shoots off a rifle and everybody just runs in and grabs
they'll disappear.
And it's like, if you took half as much care repacking that thing to take it home as you did to kit it there, you know, it would be one thing, but just like slamming things into cardboard boxes and running out of there.
It's like, it's okay when we got one big room, but it's like I say, we had Peterborough show. You got main hall, you got an auditorium over here, you got 3 offshoot rooms. Because what happened is that show got cancelled one year because of bad weather. The next year they sold 14 extra tables were needed for groups that showed up.
Do you partner with any like civic groups to do security and stuff like that?
No, but for us to rent out that room, it is about £700.
Wow.
Yeah, but that covers all the fire safety, health insurance, and all that stuff.
Right.
Because it's public event, and we charge £2 per adult and £1 for children tickets, and we normally make the money back in the day, in one day. Because you also we charge because we take money from the group. Because you have to.
Right, and do you take a percentage of sales too?
No. They pay for the table, the traders and the groups.
Oh, so they just pay a fee for the table, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's up to them. And it's all done above board. If the Inland Revenue listen, it's all done above board and all legal type.
Well, that's good because that means even if they don't sell anything, you still get your table money.
You mentioned security there. there was the incident last year where there were railway modelers had their show completely trashed by vandals that had broken in.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah. That's the market beefing one. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
So, has there been any increase in the thoughts of security in shows?
Well,
Not so much. There's the ones we have over here usually held in hotels.
Yeah.
So they would have their own security anyway, but the larger ones in England and Scotland are usually held in sports halls. So has there been any increase or any increase in the costs of security since that incident? Or even
Not really. Not really. Well, but it's like I say, it's depending on, like I say, the location. So our show is in the middle of nowhere, so somebody has to be really, really determined to go and be a vandal.
Yeah.
But as I say, it's on a race course, so there's quite a bit of security countermeasures like video cameras and people walking around at night. But like I say, it's depending on where the location is, and most of the time there's we go set up the tables on a Friday, but no one goes in until Sunday morning at 7:00. So a lot of people are there for 7:00 getting all set up anyway. So there's the only thing that's left there is the tables. There's no model group. There's no models left on the tables, anything like that. I've left my model kits there on Friday night, and nothing's happened. So it's like I say, it's that what happens at Market Deep, and the people who broke in actually were students of the school, and they knew where this. Apparently, they knew where all the soft entry points were.
Yeah, that was particularly shocking. There were railway models worth thousands of pounds. Whole setups that had been years of work put into, and all just trashed overnight.
Well, but the people raised nearly £250,000 for them.
Yeah, and including Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So what? But the Market Deep and Railway Group were at the Peterborough show, so everybody was supportive of them.
Oh, wow. What did we see today? Really short on your egos. Pretty long on actually what goes on with judges, and now we had Mr. Wayne talk about how it's all organized and how much work is put into it. That's
as to say, it's not a quick thing. It's over a year, and it's a lot of stuff can happen between a year. Like the ownership of the venue could have changed, so then maybe either not. That's one thing, but because we was the first group to use the race course other than a horse race course, and used a grandstand as a venue hall, because we're in favour of them. If you know what I mean. Sorry. All right.
The organization of these shows, and then they have to start organizing next year's almost before they've finished that year, sort of.
Yeah. Well, it's like I say, we always get the same traders there, and a lot of them are really good built on. They're really independent traders, not these big have these big websites and everything. They're just like one-man shows. One-man shows and just turn up and just sell the wares.
Yeah, well, that's there's a money aspect to it too, which I don't fault at all. If you can actually make a living at this, it's actually. But there was also the talk about in the past. I think there was even a comment made that professionals should be screened out. This should be, if it's an amateur show, it should be.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's another aspect that hasn't been discussed. And even Bob was saying that he would prefer a point-based judging rather than a straight 1, 2, 3, first place, second place, third place. Any on that?
So what it depends. Let's say in our major model show we do have the gold, silver, bronze. Then we do have the highly recommended and stuff like that. But then at our general meeting competitions, we just do the 1 to 25 score per model kit, and it's done like that. It's all written down. Nobody knows who's giving them what points. It's all added up, and it goes out on the newsletter in a PDF file. So
interesting, because the People's Choice Award, how does that work there, Lou?
They simply vote in a ballot box.
Just a ballot box. Just
yeah. It depends. Like when I go to the AMP show, when you go in, you're given a sheet, and then you write down the model number at the time, and it goes on a ballot of number of people that select that particular model, and then they add that all up at the end.
Well, that's kind of crazy though, because there's how many. Well, that could be fixed actually.
It can be there. That's what at Wonderfest. Other than the regular judges judging, there are sponsors have their own judges. Like if I am Iwata Airbrush, and I walk in and I'm the judge for Iwata, and I go through and I may judge something that I think is, I'll pick any model in the entire room and say I like that the best. And I'm the judge, and I'm the sole arbiter of that award, and I give out my own prize. It's not official judging, but it's a sponsored judge.
Yeah.
Then they have categories like best. If you are an amazing figure modeler and you are a judge or a sponsor of the show, you can go and say, well, this is the best figure, and it may or may not be the same one that the judges have deemed to be the best figure. A lot of times it is, because sometimes there's a standout that's just so good that it gets every major award. But then there's Iwata has an award that's called Best Example of Something We Like. That could change from year to year, but it's the best example of the thing we like. And it's either somebody did something really creative with a stock kit, or they scratch built, or they did a different thing. They took a model and went differently with it. It doesn't matter, but it's a recognition, it's a validation of somebody who might not fit the exact judge's category.
Yeah.
And then there's the People's Choice, it's just the most popular as judged by the common unwatched.
There's a lot of, I got to admit, when I saw the show floor, it was pretty big in the sense. The room itself wasn't that big, but the amount of models that were in there on those tables was pretty impressive. Anyway, we filled up an hour just about. There was no show and tell, of course, during this. This was pretty serious discussion. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just saying that we do. I think we do have a special special trophy for one of our members who passed away 2 years ago. The Phil De Silva trophy. And that's given out with the local group for the best for the overall winner of the year. He has to get it's whoever gets the most points for the year.
So it's over the entire year, not on a particular entry.
Yeah, no, it's what it's done is whoever gets the most points.
So it's sort of like a career build. Then it's whoever gets most builds on the most points for that year.
Yeah. So for each, you get 4. There's 4 builds. You can then have 2 models per build, and they're rated out
Okay,
of
so
25. So you've got like.
I get you. You limit the number of entries.
So yeah, you can have 8 model kits. They're all judged by the members who are present at the meeting at that time, between 1 and 25. Then they're all added together, and then it's the grand total at the end of the year, and it's done on the new year in the February of the new year.
Nice.
That's like something you would do at the year-end party and that for a club or something like that. You would do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for stopping by. Phil, thank you. And Lou, thank you for your input especially. And Jim and Randall, your color's still yellow. You've won a lot of awards with the color yellow. And Wayne, thank you for the insight on the other side of that, actually putting on the show. That was great. And thank you for the idea, by the way. That was...
You're welcome.
But this is the kind of content that I want when it comes to the hobby, because I think there are subjects here that we talked a lot about in the past, and I think there's a lot more going forward that we can talk about. So anyway, if anybody watching, everybody watching, and thank you as well as Heath and Bob and all the other participants watching this show live. Thank you. And if you are watching live, sorry about the dual personality of clicking which show. I was looking for a way of doing this different from the logo, StreamYard, and I'm still looking for a way of doing this pretty much free, because Google is not going to be free after August. I don't think I can even do it, because when I clicked onto Google to do it that way this time, so I can have more participants, it made a doubled invite or double show. And I apologize for that. I will try to keep it with the StreamYard for now until I find something better and easy to use. I'm not very tech savvy, so be kind when it comes to those critiques. I have a real job. I still work. So during my own time, I want to do modeling, maybe not so much learn this techie stuff. But anyway, I really appreciate everybody's participation and the viewers who have comment. Please comment, make suggestions for what we're doing, what we could do, and thumbs up, rate, whoever you know that YouTube stuff. And thanks. And maybe in June, we'll have another show. This didn't happen on the first weekend, but that's just because of me and no other reason. But thank you anyway. Happy modeling until next time.
Okay.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
What do you